We'll have a few items of business. You guys can sit down. We'll have a few items of business before we get to the applications, and you guys can join us at the table when we get there.
All right.
Are we live yet?
Yeah.
All right.
Good for them.
All right.
Thank you, Doug.
He's very tad.
The escape door there. What's that? The escape doors are closer by. Oh, nice. Okay.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting of the Technical Review Committee to order. It is Monday,
133.
Monday, July 15th at 1:33. And the first item of business is call to order. I do see that there is a quorum of the Technical Review Committee here present. Second item of business is emergency evacuation plan. Basically, you just head out the door there and head right out of the building. Next item of business is approval of minutes. I do see we have 3 sets of minutes ready for us. We'll do them as votes one at a time. Any comments or questions on the April 15th, 2024 minutes? All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. McGee. Any second on that? Second by Chief Brown. That's for the approval of the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Those minutes are approved. The next are May 13th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, moved by Chief Brown, second by McGee. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those minutes are approved. And the last is June 17th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. McGee,
Second.
Mr. Brown. These are my guys today. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Those minutes are approved. We've done all the minutes. So the next item of business is new business for discussion and comments. This is for New London Preserve. Those applicant entities feel free to join us at the table. You can pull seats up as you need to, or you can stay in the back. You guys can decide. This is for comments to the Planning Commission. This is a pre-application for a major land development. The owner applicant is Alpha Holdings LLC. And just as a quick summary, the applicant here proposes to develop 90 detached single-family homes in a condo style development, each of which would be roughly 2,000 square feet in size, including 2 to 3 bedrooms and an attached 2-car garage. The project will include pedestrian walkways, lighting, landscaping, and other site amenities. And just as a little background, this is a pre-application. No votes are owed at this stage. This is just conversational.
I don't think there's anyone's in here, so I'm gonna hop around the corner. You can have the other people set up. Unless someone on HG. Where? I thought it was the engineering one.
No, that might be planned. There you go. I just.
Oh, you didn't have the. Oh, okay, good.
So. There's no decision owed at this stage. It's purely conversational. This one is going to be reviewed by the Planning Commission at its July 24th. July 24th, 2024 meeting. This meeting itself is being recorded and can be viewed afterwards. Again, with no public comments at a TRC meeting. Any interested parties can email me comments and I'll relay to the Planning Commission. So with that being said, I would ask for all the TRC members today, because we have some fairly significant sized projects, to read their comments that they provided via email verbatim, just so it's clear for the record of the TRC today. And I've got those comments also written down for any interested parties that want to see them. And before we even do that, why don't we go around the table? Just first, everyone can, provide their name and their title for the record. I'm Doug McLean. I'm the planning director, and I'm also the administrative officer and chair of the TRC.
I'm Alex Berardo. I'm the principal planner.
Chief Police, Coventry Police. Joe Levesque, Town Engineer.
Frank Brown, Chief Hopkinsville and Central Coventry Fire District. Josh Chase, Planning Tech.
Kevin McGee, Director of Public Works.
And why don't we go in reverse order? Director McGee, do you mind leading us off with your comments on this one?
Sure. Once again, I have some questions, as we go through the process that I was hoping to get considered during the, approval process. Bullet number one, the road configuration should include sidewalks on at least one side for pedestrian safety. Bullet two, there needs to be a turnaround installed on the northernmost roadway. Number three, the storm drainage needs to have careful design. There's currently water leaching from this property affecting the groundwater elevation in the Longfellow Drive neighborhood. If the proposed storm drainage system is proposed to be included in tying into New England Turnpike, study of the existing capacity on New England Turnpike needs to be conducted at design. Number four, will access points to Crompton Road be abandoned? Next, is the proposed 45-foot cul-de-sac radius sufficient for emergency vehicles? The majority of our cul-de-sac design in town are 60-foot radiuses. A traffic study should be performed on the London Turnpike to include existing traffic, proposed traffic in the area, and traffic generated from this proposal. Finally, will the roadway system in this project be public?
Thank you very much, Director McGee. Gosh, no, actually, the planning designee on this is, but why don't we keep going in order? Chief Brown, why don't you give us your comments on this one?
Fire department access, as the director said, the width of the road, and that they gotta meet the fire flow requirements for what's being built.
Great. Thank you very much. Engineer Levesque, your comments.
There needs
please.
to be a turnaround at the end of the road located on the north end of the site. There are existing groundwater issues at the existing homes that abut the site on Longfellow Drive. Post-development stormwater runoff conditions must not result in peak runoff increases in rate or volume from then pre-construction conditions. Engineering takes no exception to the proposed 24-foot wide road. The addition of a sidewalk will need to be discussed with the planning department. Our streetlights proposed for the project. Coventry sewer connection permit application will need to be submitted for the project. The applicant will be responsible for costs associated with the engineering analysis to determine the capacity adequacy of the existing 15-inch gravity sewer line in New England Turnpike. That's it.
Thank you very much. Chief Heiss, your comments, please.
This project by itself does not seem to raise many issues in regards to traffic, but with all the other proposed development projects in the area, it should be included in a traffic study that encompasses all the proposed projects.
Thank you. And then Alex, you're the designee on the planning for this.
Yep, planning's comments were as follows. The applicant will need to quantify the scale of the density bonus they are seeking from the planning commission under the land development project tool. Planning staff are looking for this project to incorporate deed restricted affordable housing units. The applicant shall provide a traffic study at the preliminary plan submission. Planning staff requests the applicant explore the potential merits of establishing a roadway connection between the proposed development and Crumpton Road. The Rhode Island Historical Cemeteries database appears to indicate a historic cemetery labeled the Varnum Mitchell Cemetery, number CY 105, is located on lot 138. The applicant must verify the cemetery's location and ensure that the southerly roadway connection to New London Turnpike accommodates both the cemetery itself and its required 25-foot buffer as part of its master plan submission. And lastly, peer reviews for specific aspects of the proposal, including but not limited to traffic, stormwater, environmental, and construction, may be initiated at future stages as needed.
I believe that's all the comments that we have at TRC at this time. And again, these comments are going to be directed to the planning commission, but the applicant is present. I invite them if they have any context they want to provide, anything they want to address. Essentially, because we're at the meeting, these comments are going to be moved along, and there's an opportunity to address in front of the planning commission as well. But if there's any, anything you want to have a discussion on, we're happy to. The floor is yours.
Thank you. In going through I'm gonna go through them again very fast. A turnaround at the north end of the site. Okay, I understand that one. That's no problem.
Just a point of clarification, but I think our code allows for up to 150 feet without turnaround. Would it be acceptable if it's at 150 feet?
I'd have to check. There's a pre-app, we can handle some of those comments, we can address that question. We do have plans here, but sometimes they don't. Might be harder than-
Certainly not the concern, it's just a.
Just because it was also noted about not it's gonna be private or public. If it's gonna be public, then irregardless of fire. Of course, gonna require a turnaround for either someone moving or traffic. So if it's gonna be private, then that's a few folks. If it's gonna be public, then it's requiring public.
And even if it's private, I mean, there's still a review of safety and accessibility, and you guys are looking at private at the moment, I assume?
That is the plan right now, yes.
Okay. So that helps clarify. Yep.
The density bonus. Is there something that the town has in mind that could work? Because from when I read the regulations, it seems as though we'd be allowed by right about 50 units, if I'm reading it right, off of developable land. 2 units per acre. It seems as though we have about somewhere around 25 acres of developable land. To get to 90 units, the density bonus would have to be somewhat significant. We have no problem offering an affordable component to get there, but I don't know if the town has an idea in mind of what that percentage would be. I know it's a lot of times you see anywhere from 10%, which is usually the minimum that a town needs to meet. That way your development doesn't hurt what is needed and it keeps you right in line. All the way up from there. Does the town have an idea in mind that would work to get us close to the 90 units?
I don't have a firm answer for you because at the end of the day, it's a planning commission decision.
Okay.
And we're at a pre-app, but this is your opportunity to get a read from the planning commission next week at their meeting.
Okay.
It's the big question on this one.
Yeah.
If you guys are using a tool that allows you to seek a density bonus that is, purely at the discretion of the planning commission. I'd encourage you to try to review that issue quickly with them next week. I don't have a read on it. But I think we wanted just clarification on what the specific density bonus was. So it seems as though, based on what our code suggests is suitable area and what you've got 50 acres. So, based on underlying zoning, you're looking at 25 units or so. And so you're looking for, I'm sorry, I had that backwards.
That's all right. I know.
25 acres, 50 units or
Mhm.
so. You're looking for 90, you're essentially looking for a density bonus of 40 units on top of what's allowed by code. I think there is a conversation around, what benefits is the project providing? And there is a conversation around what's an appropriate affordable housing level. That's not something you guys have put on the table yet in terms of a percentage that you're including in this. So I'd be thoughtful about what you wish to include, and then if you give the planning commission that a number that they can start to understand, then at least they'll give you feedback as to, what their comfort level is. Some degree, their comfort level might be around, is this an appropriate site to do that kind of density bonus? So I think we're willing to entertain that conversation. And I think, your best bet is to have a number in mind to come into the planning commission next week, to provide to them and then get the reaction on that.
All right,
Does that make
thank you.
sense?
Yeah, no, completely. It does. I know we have a lot of land that's undevelopable, but it creates a nice buffer ironically anyway, so maybe that can be an assistance there for why the density is where it is, but
Yeah.
Perfect. The next, a traffic study and one that includes other proposed projects. I guess I would just have to ask for assistance on what other projects are proposed and what stage that they are in their approvals, because if they have a master plan approval, then it's a little bit more concrete of a project, but if they're kind of like us, it's a little hard to consider that because we've seen, even just across the street, I even was working with an applicant at one point and they just come and go. Obviously something will get put there, I don't know what, but we might just need a little bit of help and guidance on what to include in that traffic study before we hire someone to do it.
And I'll allow Chief Heist to jump in as he sees fit, just so you have context. We're looking at probably close to 2,000 units at center of New England, which is not far from here. They're going to be providing a substantial amount of traffic studies, and a lot of it is just coordinating, as other projects in this area are picked up, understanding how all of the projects still work together. I don't think it's gonna become something that's an absolute non-starter, but I think it's important for us to have an idea of, what are your numbers, having some quantifiable, trip generation numbers from you. And they're at pre-app right now as well.
Okay.
So it's really as you guys gear up to future stages, putting it on your radar. There was a recent study of a project just across the street from you. That was the Willow Lakes project. I don't know if you're familiar. It's an assisted living project. It's also a comp permit, just received preliminary plan approval last month.
Okay,
There's a study on the books. A lot of it's just making sure that we understand the trip generation of all these projects and how they impact the streets collectively. Does that make sense?
no, completely. And if we could get access, if,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know, to their
Okay.
traffic,
Oh, yeah.
because that way we have their trip generations too. That would be really helpful.
And that also suggests including subdivision that's going in just over the 95
Yeah,
at East Greenwich.
and each
Okay.
That is substantial lot.
Yeah,
Alright.
this region is gonna see, and by region, I mean, we're just talking about several blocks around this corner of the community. It's gonna see an influx of development that we're just, many of them are still at pre-application. Some of them have, made it to future stages, but putting it on your radar that, we'll be looking for everyone to provide some information so that we can understand how it's all gonna work together.
Okay, perfect.
And one of the big burdens for the task is, go pretty quickly. My player for the just the discussions we've had right now, so to avoid everybody doing duplicated work. Does it make sense for the town to initiate analysis of the area? I mean, a regional traffic study for something of this magnitude, like I know it looks like a lot of boxes on the plan, but it's a big major thoroughfare. I can almost unequivocally say, if you discounted everything else, this project isn't enough. These trucks have always been liquidated out of that site. Relatively low counts most times in the day. Now all of a sudden, a whole lot of work going on around the area, and the lift for this project is sort of changed from being granite to being incrementally. Is this the thing that tips the level, and does that really matter? Ultimately, it's towns.
It's not a race as to, who comes in first gets the claim that they're the project that makes the traffic work, somebody else, because we're all at pre-app. So all of these are basically, we're aware of a significant amount of development in this area, and they're projects that are coming to formation now. To answer your question, I don't think the town has the resources to initiate its own traffic study to review development that is essentially being privately proposed. But I can tell you anecdotally that I do anticipate that there is a single developer that's going to be proposing the vast majority of these units, and upwards of maybe 1,500 to 2,000 housing units. This is the Center of New England developer. I do anticipate that they're going to be taking on a lion's share, because there's a lion's share of the housing, a lion's share of the study, and the types of analysis that will be needed. But as they conduct this, I'm sure they're going to want to understand trip generation numbers and how to incorporate that in. So without having a lot of firm answer for you, I can tell you that they've already initiated traffic studies. They're going to be continuing with their traffic studies. Paul Bannon, who is currently with Crofton, is their lead for that. It's really just making sure all these various applicants are aware of each other, and that the town is in receipt of a solid comprehensive study, of which I believe they're going to be doing the lion's share of work. Does that make sense to you? It does.
Another, Crompton Road, I know that was mentioned twice about it. Sam, do you know, can we connect to Crompton Road? Do we have,
There is, yes, there is we understand that there is a connection, those lots. So the mapping that's shown on that plan is a little deceiving because the two GIS systems didn't align, but there is a right of way. We understand it. Now, the physical constraints are not,
They're gonna ask you.
negligible, right? You gotta physically be able to do
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot of slope
But
items, that's the issue.
Yeah, slope and potentially ledge. we can certainly look at that further.
I think that as a pre-app, we're just asking you to show some due diligence, explore it. We're just curious to know what the constraints are and then hear feedback from you.
We're confident that we can achieve at least 2 entrances into this development for that purpose. So that the entire project isn't coming off of one. The second will likely be a secondary egress, so we are anticipating a line share of normal traffic to go out of one location, but provide. I would say that Compton Road kind of falls into that category, is that we probably an opportunity to do something there. I'm not sure that we would want it as the primary entrance, but maybe we will.
Yeah, and when you say secondary, you're thinking of a fire emergency access only?
Yeah, something that would be plowed and maintained.
And we're at pre-app, but I'm sure the fire department will be very interested to hear about that for its own access issues, as we continue to work. This project would have a master plan stage, so there is an opportunity to get more feedback before you do heavy-handed design on, roadway alignment.
Right, no.
You keep in mind also, Bedroom Road is a paper street. It's not a-
I think we're all set.
No more thoughts, feedback?
No. Thank you guys very much for all your time and effort. We really appreciate it. You guys put a lot of work into this, so thank you.
Yeah, you're at an early stage, you've got a master plan, let me just ask, do you guys have an idea on your timing of submission of a master plan at this stage?
I don't think so, because we want to see first how the actual meeting goes with, before the planning commission itself next week. And then because depending on that will dictate a little bit more the number of units. And then that will dictate, all the other items of calculations that you have to start to run, from sewers to drainage to, now the cost of the sidewalk and stuff. But I do know that they want to move fast. This isn't something they want to sit on. When they first came and met with me, and everything's all, you guys have seen long projects and short ones, but they want to be done from start to finish within a year if they can. So they want to move fast.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously the speed at which you can get to a preliminary plan is probably dependent on some degree how quickly you can get through your state limits as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's.
And just quick, if the town prefers to, would you prefer access, not just for emergency, but through Crompton, if that was viable, or would you prefer we didn't? Besides emergency access?
We don't have a preference. just
Okay.
that The elevation changes, that you're at the top tier.
Okay,
I'm not Crompton, and I'm not sure if that works going down to.
all right. I didn't know if there was certain infrastructure things going down that side road that you prefer we didn't.
I know the
Okay.
condos that are to the east of them, took them several years to get through East Greenwich approval.
Okay. All right.
If you were to ask me in a vacuum, a planner usually wants to see good interconnectivity. The specifics of it, I mean, maybe there's some degree of analysis that you provide us with.
Okay.
How many trip generation, if it's suitable, how that loads one street versus another. I don't think we have all the info we would need to give you a firm answer.
Okay.
But I can understand that there'd probably be abutters that would not be happy along Crompton to know that there'd be a new roadway there. So we try to we're seeking the best solution for what fits that site. And by also maintaining some accessibility for fire and connectivity when and how it makes sense. Does that?
Yeah.
I mean, we're putting it on the table early, just so you know, we want to see what's possible, what constraints you're up against and what makes sense.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, the main entrance with just one road coming in and you want it to be 24 feet, a tree comes down across there,
Yeah.
we can't get EMS and fire in there.
Yeah,
Something
two.
similar that's happening in town, they widen that out quite a bit.
I think they have 2 entrances, though, 2 roadways, though.
No, the one on Bedroom Road, right?
Well, there's a,
So, one here, one there?
So there is.
Two.
So then why are we talking about Crompton?
I think they were just.
Because,
the potential for it is there, exists. I think they were just seeing if it was.
Imagine if that tree came down on that long roadway there at the bottom, you could have those people getting. But I mean, that can
Can we
happen
go
in
back up?
any development that has. a
Can we go
subdivision.
back up? Yeah, which one's bedroom now and
No, I think.
Bedroom
Down
is,
down there.
this is the paper road that shows up here, that leads down to Crompton.
okay,
So there's one such. point
so the
of exit
entrance
there,
is going across.
or in theory, one over here as well. It's just to explore whether or not there's, feasibility, potential merits.
And really, when you think about it, I mean, you're giving us two access points.
Yeah.
There's a chunk of those units, I would say everything that is, if you see south of that, the two major cul-de-sacs, if, you know, the idea of if a tree fell at that roadway as it connects, you know, there's, I don't know, somewhere probably 50 or so units that are counting on that single access point. We just want to have an excellent, you know, some determination on what the suitability of the conditions on the site, what's, you know, is there a roadway? We're probably leaning towards something that's a fire access. I'm sure that, even those abutters, is that East Greenwich there? That the abutters in East Greenwich would probably, prefer something that isn't, introducing a lot of traffic running right through their roadways. We balance all those issues together.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Probably something we can have a little more of a firm conversation, either at master plan or as we move forward.
A little concerned about the, not, I think it's a yes or no thing, it's just that that would be enough. Obviously, favorable, if most of the people sitting at this table, but also a negative that is.
Yeah,
Shortcut around the left.
I see what you're like, so
You know?
folks that are trying to skip the New London, Arnold Road intersection would start to cut through. No, and I hear that. And then we're not looking to create, something that, introduces cut through opportunities. So it might be that it's appropriately explored as a potential, fire emergency access only. But we're curious to hear more from you guys about it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. All right, that concludes our discussion on the New London Preserve matter. The next item for our agenda is the Village at Tiogue. Feel free to come and join us at the table.
Thank you.
This is again for comment to the Planning Commission. This is the pre-application of a major land development that is also a comprehensive permit. For the record, a comprehensive permit is a project that is providing at least 25% affordable housing. And as such, the project is allowed to seek waivers from all sections of zoning and subdivision. It is a different type of application because of the affordable housing component. The owner applicant is 232 Realty Associates. The applicant is proposing to develop 176 units comprised of a mix of single-family units, duplex cottages, and multifamily units. Again, for the record, this is heading to a pre-application in front of the Planning Commission on July 24th, 2024. We don't receive public comments at this TRC, but comments that we will receive, and we have received a few interested comments on this already, we will relay to the Planning Commission. We've already done our introduction, so I guess I'd ask that we would read our comments verbatim. These are comments that you've already emailed in, but why don't we do it in reverse order this time? I know you're going to be our commenter on planning for this, so Chief, you would be the first to comment on this one.
So for this project, it does not seem as if it would have a major impact on the traffic in the area. Or the way I saw it.
Okay, thank you. Engineer Levesque, do you have comments on this one?
Yep, as stated in the project narrative, Coventry subdivision regulations require a 30-foot wide road with concrete curbing and sidewalks on both sides within a 60-foot wide right-of-way. Engineering takes no exception to the proposed 24-foot wide road within a 50-foot wide right-of-way. The addition of a sidewalk and right-of-way greater than 50 feet will need to be discussed with the planning department. It is of the highest priority that all drainage be designed and constructed correctly due to the project's density, site topography, and proximity to existing neighborhoods. Post-development stormwater runoff conditions must not result in peak runoff increases in rate or volume from the ban of pre-construction conditions. Engineering takes no exception to the 800-foot cul-de-sac length exceedance, and engineering recommends a traffic analysis for the area 3 access roadways.
Thank you. Chief Brown, your comment?
Fire department access and water going.
Thank you. And Josh is the planning designee.
Well, the planning comments are, the applicant shall provide a traffic study at preliminary plan submission. And, planning staff seek clarification on the following items. The income limits for the LMIH units,
And just for the layperson, that's the affordable units.
the estimated number of rental versus ownership units for both market rate and, low and medium income housing units. Estimated total number of bedrooms and associated breakdown, how many ones and twos and three bedroom units. The location of guest parking spots in areas 2 and 3, if any. Whether the landscape buffer will be planted or kept as existing. Where and how access will be provided to the cemetery. Whether the roadway in area 2 or 3 is proposed as private or public. And peer reviews for specific aspects of the proposal, including but not limited to traffic, stormwater, environmental, and construction, may be initiated at future stages as needed.
Thank you. Director McGee.
There's several comments. My first bullet is the proposed development in areas 1, 2, and 3 is private or public? Bullet 2, there is no turnaround designed at the western stub roadway in area number 1. Bullet 3, how is storm drainage being designed in areas 1, 2, and 3? How will the drainage issue from East Shore Drive towards North Road Terrace be addressed? Currently, the areas in question is virtually bypassed in the link between areas 2 and 3. How is this being addressed? Has consideration been made regarding the existing conditions for Maplewood and Old North Road, East Shore Drive neighborhoods, stormwater issues? Bullet number 4, provide a 12-foot gravel access driveway for the historical cemetery from the cul-de-sac for maintenance activities. Next bullet, the road configuration should include sidewalks on at least one side for pedestrian safety. Next bullet, Tiffany Road, Angus Street, and Old North Road are not designed to handle this type of increase in vehicle traffic. How is this being addressed? Next bullet, the narrative states that Tiffany Road right of way is 18 to 20 feet, but in fact, the actual pavement is only 18 to 20 feet with no area to expand. The final bullet is the narrative also refers to there being no sidewalks in the 1960s era subdivision across Tiogue Avenue in the Oak Haven area. It failed to mention that the more recent developments in the area, in conjunction with current town property subdivision regulations, Falls Spring Drive, East Shore Estates, Minglewood Estates, have sidewalks on at least one side for pedestrian safety. That completes my comments.
Thank you very much. So those are all the comments that the TRC has at this time. The applicant is free to provide context, answer questions, anything that you'd like. Again, the comments are directed for the planning commission, and you also have an opportunity to provide any of the additional requested info at the planning commission at their meeting next week as well.
Right. Greg Guglielmo from Decreed Engineering, the project manager on the project. Bob Blois, the applicant, Louis Barone, one of our project managers in our office. Thank you for all the comments. I mean, there wasn't really anything here that was not something that we feel we can work through with the planning staff and each of the departments. Just to, as Doug mentioned, I think, is this probably the first comp permit under the new regulations that you've had?
Yeah, under the new regulations.
Yeah, so it's kind of new for us. We've only done a few in the state so far under the new state law. But really, the only difference is that there's no master plan level. So you're gonna see a lot of this at this pre-application stage. Then we're gonna come back with all the engineering after that. So we have to submit to DM, we have to submit for any sewer water approvals. We'll run through, I think, again, all the departments, again, a preliminary, get all that response. So, most of these things I think we can work through. Obviously, there was some things that the biggest piece I've done a lot of work in Coventry was a 60-foot right of way and the larger width of road. So that was a larger piece for us, but the rest we'll be able to answer at preliminary. One other point probably mentioned too on some of the planning items we have to submit this application as per the state law to Rhode Island Housing. So we'll have to submit detailed pro forma, what we'll have for rental units or for ownership units, what we're gonna have for 1 and 2 bedroom units, what that ratio will be. So we'll have that at preliminary stage. We'll also have to do a traffic analysis of all those existing connection points. If there is any opportunities to improve any of those, we'll have to submit that at preliminary. One other point is on the public or private, we're amenable to either. I mean, Doug and I have talked about that, and we'll really work with the planning staff and the commission as far as what makes sense for the town. I personally go either way on them. I get town's perspective, so they don't want to maintain the roads, and then I get if you're a taxpayer and you want to pay for a road that everybody else is getting, it's a public road. So I go either way. So I say, okay, we'll deal whatever the town thinks is best for them.
On that point, I'd actually be curious to get the feedback from Director McGee and Engineer Levesque on feedback on if they're willing to go either way on public or private, thoughts on them.
And you probably you can anticipate, I'd like to see a private.
There you go.
Because it's some of the things you have to get in without a turnaround, if that's done privately.
Right.
Care, as long as it's expired code, he can get his vehicles around,
Right.
but
And one thing we've thought about that too is there's kind of 3 distinct areas of this. We'd be amenable to same thing, maybe some of it is public, some of it is private. So depending on what the town feels would make sense. Like this is a kind of a prototypical condominium development, probably doesn't make much sense for it to be public. Where if you look at the one that's we're calling phase or area 3, the next one down, that probably makes the most sense to be public, where it's traditional kind of 50-foot right away could fit with 5,000 to 6,000 or 7,000 square foot lots. So that would probably be more prototypical for residential subdivision.
Yeah, and I mean, just anecdotally, I mean, feel free to provide your feedback if there's more interest, less interest, or if the interest is to keep it private across all 3 stages.
once again, I'm amenable to what you propose. Again, is good and bad with both. This one here I have most angst with, because all of that traffic entering onto Tiffany Road to Old North Road to Angus to get to that. None of those roads are compatible for this type of density.
And then one thing to note is that this project does not have the opportunity to bring a master plan stage proposal in front of us, which means that it goes from a pre-application, no votes owed, no decisions made, to a fully designed and engineered site plan. I've made this applicant aware that if they want to come back in front of us for multiple pre-applications, they can feel welcome to do that. That's the new state law. That's what comp permits are asking applicants to do, is to essentially jump right to a heavy-handed design stage. I think that, if there are issues that are identified through the planning commission through the process, and they want to address those issues, come back in front of the planning commission with perhaps different information that they provide to get better feedback on some of that information. That's fine with us. I would say any change that you make, if it's a significant substantive change, we'd probably be bringing it right back for TRC to get comments just on the changed aspects as we move along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say that most of what's in here we can address at that pre-application hearing. Wasn't really anything that was insurmountable. The drainage issues in the area, we understand that, so we will work through that as we move forward as well. So.
Thanks. Do you have any other thoughts, comments you wanted to provide?
No.
Any other comments from other members of the TRC at this time? Great. So that concludes our review of the Village of Tiogue, and that is the last matter of business in front of us for the TRC today. With that being said, this meeting, unless there's any other general comments from members of the TRC, nope, then this meeting is considered adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Have a good afternoon.
2:12 p.m.
Can you